Welcome again to another podcast from cheapwinefinder.com. This is Domain Dave, and we got a Trader Joe's Platinum Reserve wine. I think the top of the line for these wines is the Diamond Reserve, and that one was very special. The Platinum Reserves are usually are wines that are maybe selling under a different label for more money. They have all sorts of reserves. There's Grand Reserve, there's Reserve, there's Petite Reserve, there's Chilean Reserve. But the Platinum Reserves are usually a wine that, and I'll explain it in a minute, because I haven't said the name of this one. What is it? This is the Trader Joe's Platinum Reserve Pinot Noir Carneros 2020. Carneros is on the south, borders at the north edge of the San Pablo Bay. It's partly in Napa, partly in Sonoma, though most of everything is in the Napa side. I'm going to take a sip and we'll talk a little bit more and go back into why these reserve wines are kind of interesting. And yeah, it's a good wine. And Carneros is interesting because even though it's inland, the San Pablo Bay, which is east of Oakland, gives a Pacific Ocean climate. And the funny thing is about grape vines, the soil there is basically clay over, I think, limestone. It's really shallow and it's poor soil, and grape vines love to struggle. Like, the worse the conditions, the better the grapes. You have a grapevine with lots of water and great soil and compost, and it's no good. It's just like doesn't make it. So it's got good climate and poor soil, and that's what Pinot Noir likes. So Carneros is an elite Pinot Noir and Chardonnay growing region. So we'll get back to, since we don't know anything about it, the name of the bag, who made it, I can't find anything on them. And we're talking more about these Trader Joe wine, why they're good. There's different reasons why you get their wine. Sometimes someone gets a hold of juice or of grapes, or usually not a finished wine, and then there's these private companies that will make wine for you. They might be located anywhere, but if you want a wine from Santa Barbara, if you want a wine from Lodi, they will get the grapes, they'll get the juice, and they'll make them for you. This Carneros wine is made by winemakers in Carneros, which basically means that a winery in Carneros made the wine. So that is a good sign. So that they're kind of telling you this is a Carneros winery made the Trader Joe's Platinum Reserve Pinot Noir 2020, though the Grand Reserve Pinot Noir 2020 is kind of the same thing. I don't know what's the difference between the two wines, as they don't tell you. It's kind of confusing. But it can be, there's different things. There's, you can buy grapes, excess grapes, and they can ship it to you right away because you don't want to wait too long on grapes. They can lose moisture inside, the juice inside. You can have people crush it for you to your specifications. And there's also a thing called shiners. Shiners, say they, I'll make up numbers. Say they normally sell 10,000 bottles of a specific wine, but the vineyard gives them 14,000 bottles. Well, they don't really want to put 14,000 out in the market if they only sell 10, because then they're going to have 4,000 too many out, and then they don't want that, so they won't put a label on there. And if it seems like they're selling like crazy, they'll label it up and push it out there. If it seems like it's just another year, they'll try to sell it. So people get that. And I don't know if this is a shiner. I don't know if this is a Pinot Noir under a different label. I don't know any of that, but that is how that kind of works. There is that out there, or they could have called up and said, hey, I want to make a wine and I want to sell for this price. Now, a $14.99 Trader Joe's wine probably in the past is the equivalent to a $25 to $30 wine. It could be more or less, but that's kind of the average on it, which for Pinot Noir from Carneros is a pretty decent Pinot Noir. Now, you'd like to know when you're paying $25 to $30, you really want to know who made it. You want to know where it came from. You want to know some of the statistics about it. And here we don't know anything, but it's $14.99. And with wine, when you don't know anything, like negotiant wine, you've got to trust the negotiant, and that's just a wine business that buys surplus wines. And here at Trader Joe's, the negotiant. And you got to trust them. And actually, I drink a lot of them, and I do trust them. I mean, they're always worth the price. I mean, if you're not getting a bargain, you're getting your money's worth, and sometimes you're getting an awesome bargain. And this one is really close to an awesome bargain. Just took another sip. It's one of those wines that actually, as it opens up, changes its flavors. It's really kind of nice. I'm kind of enjoying this wine. It's kind of a classic California Pinot Noir. If you're like a Meiomi fan, this isn't it. Meiomi is kind of very fruit forward, and it kind of loses the subtlety you kind of get with Pinot Noirs. And people who like the classic style that aren't crazy about Meiomi, but I think Meiomi is kind of like a really juicy red wine. If I want a juicy red wine, that's something I would consider. Though it's not a wine I would consider if I were looking for a Pinot Noir. But so there you go. This is a classic wine. It drinks about twice its price. It would make a really good Thanksgiving wine. Turkey is kind of a white meat. It's subtle. It can be overpowered easily, and these kind of wines will go with it because they're lighter bodied, even though this is kind of between light and medium bodied. And it also has a lot of structure to it. And when you take a bite of food and you take a drink afterwards, you take a drink of wine. The wines with the good structure are what cleanse your palates and opens up your taste buds for the next round of food. And that's always a good thing on Thanksgiving. The more food you can enjoy, the better off it is, because it is a feast, in other words. So there you go. The Trader Joe's Platinum Reserve Carneros Pinot Noir 2020 is worth the $14.99, and if I knew more about it, it might be worth $25 to $30. But right now, it drinks well, and it's really good for the holidays. I don't know how much they have it. It didn't seem to have a lot at my Trader Joe's, but if you're going to buy one, it's a really pretty wine. You can see through it. You could read the newspaper through this wine, which is the kind of classic Pinot Noir. This is good. So like us if you like your podcasts. Stay safe and warm or cool. It's around Chicago. Fall is holding on for a while. So adios. I'll be talking to everybody in a couple of days. I'm not sure where we're going, but because we got to plot out the holidays. But adios. Keep it cheap, and bye-bye.